Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs with DiNardo and Jim. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, how you doing?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, you didn't hit me with the happy Monday like you normally do.
Happy Monday.
There we go.
So yeah, but how you doing today? It's a little rainy today. That's a downside, but overall, I mean, I'm doing well outside this voice, which is about the same as yesterday.
I was gonna say your voice sounds terrible, but I'm doing great. I had a great night's sleep. I'm refreshed. The only thing I'm missing right now is we didn't get our coffee order in early enough that it arrived before the show started. We didn't get the coffee order in early enough before the show started. So now I'm gonna operate the first half of the show without any coffee, which hopefully not a problem.
Yeah, well, I did not get a good night's sleep. That makes the second one in a row because I was up probably every hour because of this. And yeah, my tea's not here. So halfway through the show, I might start sounding better because I'll have my tea. But at any rate, spring training is here. I feel good. I just don't sound good, but I'm loving the vibes. I'm having a great time right here. And again, we saw game one yesterday at LeCom, the home opener. And it was just, like I said, a gorgeous day. And it was a good game. The Pirates won too, 5-1. They are undefeated, World Series Buccos.
Yeah, great game yesterday. Today they're in Clearwater, and honestly, I think it's supposed to rain pretty much all day today. So wouldn't be surprised if that game maybe gets postponed. It's pouring here. I was looking forward to doing this show from the Tiki Bar outside, but instead we got to do it inside here on the couch. So that's a little bit of a bummer. We weren't really planning on making the drive up to Clearwater today, but Paul Skeens is scheduled to start today. So it's going to be interesting. Like if that game happens, obviously he'll start. If it doesn't happen, it may suck because we might actually just like miss a Paul Skeens rotation here because my guess is the Pirates are still going to want to keep them all on a schedule,
right?
Which means Paul Skeens will likely play some sort of simulated game today if that ends up happening. But hopefully rain stops. Hopefully they get the game in, but it's not looking too good today.
No, it's not. And like I feel like the forecast is changed around all the time. Is AM showers, then it's all day showers, it's back to AM. And the way it looks right now, I have no idea if this game's gonna be played or not. So again, I was looking forward to at least again, probably not gonna go there and watch it, but just seeing a Paul Skeens start may not happen, and that's gonna be taken away from us, and that makes me sad.
Yeah. But again, game hasn't been postponed yet, but it's got a pretty good chance, I think. But hopefully get to play today. But we'll get into everything that we saw yesterday, everything that we're looking forward to this week. But before we do, let me tell you about Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every home game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So I mean, hey, we arrived here Saturday afternoon. Kind of, played it low key Saturday. Kind of stayed in, went out, had some dinner. But yesterday, action-packed day. Home opener at LeCom Park. We got there bright and early, got to see some practice, got to see some BP, got to see some pitchers throw. Did our pregame show, which if you haven't checked that out, check that out. Doug and Neil did a wrap-up of the game, but it was just great to be at the ballpark again, watching baseball. It was a gorgeous day. It was a great crowd, lots of people. Yesterday was it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just you go the whole winter, you go the whole off season, and you're just missing this game so much. And then yesterday you finally get to see it on the field, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, again, it was just nice that you get that feeling baseball is finally back. Like that hits you yesterday so hard. Baseball is finally back. And we've talked about this offseason, you can decide how you wanted to think about it, how you want to discuss it, but like now everything's fresh. Everything's all about optimism. What can happen? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? And like you said, just seeing the players. I was walking out and Kutch and his family was right there, and I kind of want to give him an okay coach, but I did it. I don't know, chat. Maybe sometime this week I will, but
I think you need to hit Kutch with the okay coach at some point this week.
I really do.
Yeah.
I actually had a vision last night that we're gonna be doing like the pregame show sometime, and he's gonna walk by, and I'm just gonna give him the salute, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't. So Kutch hasn't gotten into any games yet.
No.
Again, he's him and Tommy Pham, kind of the two veterans in that position player group where you're not really.
They don't need it.
They don't need a whole lot, right? They just need to take a few cuts, get their timing down by the end of spring. I think we kind of saw that last year too, where Andrew McCutchen really didn't get a ton of playing time in spring training.
I feel like it was like 13 plate appearances.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot, and a lot of it was more towards the later part of spring training. But yeah, the guys who are showing out right now, we got non-roster invitees. We've got the young Bucs, the top prospects.
Yes,
they're the ones showing out right now. We haven't really seen a ton from like the main position player group, but those guys who are vying for a roster spot, those guys who were really kind of getting a first look at, or maybe we've seen them in previous camps. They're the ones doing all the work. I mean, yesterday, not a whole lot happening offensively until those reserves came in, and then they put up a big, I think it was the 7th inning, where they strung together a bunch of hits and put up some runs. So, the reserves coming through and kind of giving you some hope for the future. If we want to kind of get into what we saw yesterday, Bubba Chandler made his spring debut on the mound. First pitch of the game, 99.1 miles per hour.
We're talking about how we're excited to see Paul Skeens today.
Yeah.
Can he even hit 99 point? What was it, 91.1 or 7? Did you say?
It was 99.1 was his first pitch.
Is he going to even hit 99.1 in spring right now? I don't know. That impressed me. I mean, we know Bubba has that. But again, it's February, 22nd at that day?
23rd.
23rd. Yeah, it was the 23rd yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So on February 23rd, Bubba's hitting 99.1. That just wowed me. So again, we know how excited we are for Bubba. We know what the impact he potentially has, the stuff that he possesses. This could be a really, really big year for him. I keep saying, like, to me, I feel like he's somewhere right in between like a Jared Jones and Paul Skeens. Mm-hmm. We know how good Jared Jones was. Now, given those, you can't force those expectations on him this year, but he showed yesterday why you can be excited. You didn't want to see all the balls that were thrown, some walks. But again, like, it's spring. Like we talk about with Mitch Keller. What do you want to see out of Mitch Keller? You just want to see guys getting healthy. This is the first time out there. He still looked electric. But yeah, Bubba Chandler looked impressive.
Yeah, fastball, cutter, slider, I think were the 3 pitches that he threw. So he didn't really go out there and throw his whole arsenal either. Again, his first inning of spring, we'll see more of him. Maybe not someone who makes it all the way to the end of big league camp. But for now, they need to eat some innings. He's got to build up his innings as well. So he's gonna be in the mix there when it comes to guys who are gonna eventually get built up to 2, 3, 4, 5 innings at some point. Whenever they really need to start kind of allotting those innings to the starters, that's probably when he'll get sent down to minor league camp. I don't expect him again to break camp with this team. But yeah, we should get plenty of Bubba Chandler looks.
Right. Yeah. And again, like, that's exciting. And like, pivot off it, you talk about the offense. Right. Yesterday's the first time you saw Konnor Griffin in the game.
Yep.
You've been talking him up. Doug said it last night. I want to say the same thing. Just kind of back what Doug said. This was the first time I seen him in person. We're standing on the right field, and he was standing right below us, and I was just like, that's a big guy. That's not a little kid. This is a man. And ironically, he's like really young for his age, like the draft class. It's like, this isn't also like an old 18-year-old that was drafted. And this kid was young to begin with. There's his first spring, and I mean, he looks like a unit. So I'm excited for the talent he has. That's the one thing you're talking about him from day one. And then we saw him last night or yesterday during the day. He gets on base. I mean, he was part of that. The scoring that was there, and boy, he had those wheels.
Well, he showed out some of his tools yesterday. That first to third was impressive. I mean, he's fast. He's got that. I mean, I think it's 70 grade speed is what Baseball America's got him at, and he showed every bit of it. And what's impressive is, he clearly added some bulk this offseason. And you know, a lot of times when you add that bulk, you know, sometimes your speed goes down with that. But
Sure.
it didn't seem like that yesterday. Like he like I said, he showed off his wheels, he showed off his tools. He was playing center field yesterday, which he talked after the game, said that he said that position comes, you know, more natural to him than shortstop, which was kind of interesting to hear. I am curious to really, I'm really curious to see how the Pirates utilize him throughout the course of this season. First off, where he ends up going, probably going to be Bradenton, but also like, how do they use him? Is he going to just exclusively be a shortstop? Is he exclusively going to be a center fielder? Is he going to be a little bit of both? I'm kind of the mind that I'd rather you just like get really good at one position. So like I'd like to have the team just like pick what he is, a shortstop or a center fielder, and then be like, okay, this is what you go and work on. There's also some value in being able to do both, but it just splits your time a little bit more, right? You only have so much time in the day to work on this stuff. And so if you're working half shortstop, half center field, then you're only getting half the time that you want to practice those positions. So yeah, that's going to be a big thing for me this year, is watching his development on the defensive side of the ball, what they do with him. But like you mentioned, he doesn't look like he's fresh out of high school. Like,
no,
that dude's a man. He's 40. Like, I mean, that dude, he's a big dude. So yeah,
come after me.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. I thought it was a great pick at the time. I know when we had Jim Callis on, he was talking about how the Pirates really liked him. It was talking about how Griffin might fall. And yeah, I'm pretty happy that he fell to them, because he was the best high school athlete in the class, and he's showing why.
Yep. Now it comes down to development. But like you said too about the position, was the one thing, like, is he going to stick at short? If not, like, everyone felt confident he can play center field. And you see him, he's doing it, and the way he talks. And it's one thing about this organization right now. I mean, it's funny how many guys they've acquired up the middle, and it's like either or. Like, there's really not a center fielder in this organization. As far as shortstops, like, we can use that too. So wherever you find the either or will work. But I'm fully confident, like, the guy has a skill set, and certainly the speed to play center, of course, too. So yeah, like, I'm excited for Konnor Griffin. You know, like you said, you should be. Comes down to development. That's the one thing the Pirates have kind of lacked a little bit as far as hitters go. So wait and see. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does this year. You know, same way with Tamar. When Tamar came in, excited how he is. Same thing with Konnor Griffin. But Tamar played yesterday too, so he went over 2 the first game. He played yesterday. He was part of that. He also got a hit. So, you know, again, it's going to be kind of, I don't want to say a big spring for Tamar, but this is kind of like to some level, like a make it break it year. Like, who is Tamar? He's in AA. I know he's young, but he's in AA. I mean, major leagues are on the doorstep, you know, soon. Maybe, probably not this year, but there could be a path where it is this year.
Yeah. I would be surprised if Termarr makes to the majors this year.
Same.
But at the same time, like, it's possible. You know, once you kind of reach AA, you're within striking distance. All it takes is really just a few things to happen, and you're there. I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think this is necessarily a make or break it year with Termarr Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard way to put it, but it's like this is a big year, like, to find out. Hopefully who he really is.
It's a big year. It's a big year in terms of like expectations, because when it comes to your top prospects, you don't want to see them stumble right along the way. And we haven't seen Termarr Johnson stumble at all, but we've also not seen him really take over a level. Yeah. I feel like there's always been like one thing where it's like, like, I wish he would really get this thing under control.
I feel like he's the perfect player that can fit a narrative for any side.
Yeah.
If you like him, you like him because of these things, and if you don't like him, you don't like him because of these things. And both have very valid points.
That's a good point. Yeah, and maybe that's why you see some prospect lists are high on him and some aren't, because depending on how you view him, you can like a lot of things about him, or you can dislike a lot of things about him. The biggest thing he's got going for him, and the reason why I say it's not a make or break year, is he's still so young. Like, he was a 17-year-old when they drafted him. Like, he's already hit AA. He doesn't have to do anything this year, because next year he's just going to be 21 years old and in Double-A. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So, so when it comes to Termarr, yeah, you want to see him continue his progression, but if he falters, it's like, yeah, he's got a little more time to kind of prove it. He's kind of in that again. He's in that situation that Liover Peguero was in a few years ago, kind of at Double-A at a young age. Peguero had to repeat the level, if you remember.
Yep.
And that's kind of what it didn't knock his prospect status like off the board, but it certainly lowered your expectations in that, okay, maybe we need to give this guy a little more time. And now you see Peguero, and I don't know if Peguero is going to work out.
Right.
Not saying that's how Termarr is going to go, but like, this is the year where it's like, if he progresses and keeps progressing, okay, then yeah, this guy is completely worthy of his top 100 prospect status. If he falters a little bit, it's not the end of the world, but there's question marks that start coming into your head. So yeah, it is a really big year for Termarr. You hope that he hits the ground running in Double-A. You hope he can show off a little bit of the hit tool that he hasn't yet shown in the minors. And yes, last year he did take a step forward when it came to his contact rate a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for him.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we'll talk a little about the young Bucs. I mean, where else did you want to take this? Yeah, again, like Mitch Keller pitched yesterday. We talked about a little bit, but Mitch Keller looked fine. That's pretty much everything that you wanted to see out of Mitch Keller. I'm scoreless. I think it was 3 hits, 1 strikeout, 2 innings. But he got some big double play balls to get out.
I thought he looked great. The stuff looked good. He was hitting 95 with his fastball. I mean, that's, if Mitch Keller's throwing 95 day 1 of spring training, you're feeling pretty good about that. It was interesting yesterday because he got himself into some situations where I was like, okay, Mitch, let's see what you can do here. And he, in the first inning, he got a double play. He went through 5 pitches in that first inning, gave up a hit, but then immediately cleaned it up. In the second inning, he got himself into some trouble. First and third, nobody out. And then I was out in the outfield, and I was like, all right, we need a strikeout and we need a double play. And he got a strikeout, and then he got a double play. So he was able to get out of it, which is exactly what you want to see. Like I said, stuff looked good. He was able to get out of certain situations. 2 scoreless innings. It was a good spring debut for Mitch Keller.
Yeah. So again, someone that's going to be the rock of this rotation. But other guys that were pitching yesterday that you want to see, especially the bullpen. I mean, Caleb Ferguson was there. Tell me what you thought about Caleb. Because I mean, he's gonna be a big part of this bullpen. I feel like, if they're gonna be good.
Yeah, I thought Ferguson looked fine. I noticed that he had trouble putting away one batter, and that sort of prolonged his inning. I think it was the second batter he faced. He had a runner on first, and he got him to 2 strikes relatively quickly. But then it took him a long time to put him away. But Ferguson put up a scoreless frame. Tim Meza is, if we're talking lefty relievers, yes. I thought he looked really good yesterday too. He's certainly, I think he's got the inside track for a job in that bullpen as the second lefty out of there between him and Ferguson. But yeah,
and he was hitting 95, I believe.
Yeah, Meza was hitting 95 on the gun. Too. So, and then Borucki came in too, and Borucki, I think he walked 1 guy, but he also cleaned things up nicely. So it was a good day for the lefty relievers. You got to assume Ferguson's on the team. Meza probably has the inside track just because he has a major league deal, and Borucki doesn't. But this is a big spring for both of those guys. I would imagine, Meza, Borucki, Wentz, they're all in there competing for a spot in that bullpen. Again, I think Meza has that inside track, but it was good seeing Borucki back too.
Yes, it was. Yeah. The king has returned. But I'll tell you, let's talk a little bit, pivot this way. We're talking about the actual players and performances. Let's talk a little about the ABS system. So we got to see it firsthand. It's something we actually talked about a little bit. Like, do we like it? Do we not like it? I think you and I have been a big proponent. This is something we want to see in MLB because we've witnessed it a little bit in the minor leagues and we've enjoyed it. So you got to see it, firsthand yesterday. Major league players. I know a lot of accounts are talking about it with spring training going on right now. For us, we saw it. I know Jack Swinski got a ball 4 and it got reviewed. It was accepted. It was good. What's your biggest takeaway from the ABS so far?
Um, so I'm a big fan of the ABS system, especially through like watching it in a few minor league games that I've been to. Um, my takeaway is it's quick.
Mhm.
I think that was a concern from the first game of the year. Like it wasn't as fast, but it was quick. Um, I think my main concern is like some of those pitches are like so close where it's like, can you even really trust the technology to be 100% right on this? Like there was a pitch yesterday where DJ Stewart appealed it and he won his appeal. It was rolled a ball, but like on the strike zone, like this pitch was like that far, like out of the zone. And it's like, whew, this technology, I mean, and it was up or down too, which is kind of it's an objective thing, but it needs to be measured as opposed to, how wide the strike zone is, because the top of the strike zone is dependent on the height of the batter. So it's like, what if you're off by just a tiny bit? Like that, I think that's my thing. Is it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun or not fun, depending on what side of the situation you're on. But like one of these days,
So Pirates fans are gonna
one of
hate
these
it.
days, this is going to like decide a game. Like you're going to have an umpire ring someone up. The player's going to appeal it, and it's going to be a ball by like a fingernail, right? And it's going to either suck or it's going to be awesome. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Like I said, spring, these games don't really matter, but this is going to be implemented at some point in the majors. It's not going to be this year, but you do kind of see this pattern where when they test stuff out in spring, it's like the next year it usually comes to be.
Mhm.
So like, don't be. I wouldn't. I would bet on this thing being in the majors next season, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it's received. I think there's good things to it. I think there's bad things to it because there are some blatant misses where it's like,
Oh yeah.
that's wrong. But it's gonna be fun to see it used in those cases of like millimeters.
Yeah, I mean, I get all that. I like it. I like it. I think it's a good experience just in the stadium. Again, like that's the one biggest takeaway I had when I saw in the minor leagues is like it was like an event, and it is quick. That's the other thing that's very important. It's quick. It's not like an NFL when you go on the replay challenge and you're sitting there for 2 minutes and you're talking about debating. I mean, it's boom, boom, right? But everyone that stands when the challenge happens, it's like a big event. They're all getting excited, and then you hear the cheers or the boos, depending on like what happens, because it's of course the home team. So Pirates fans, if you're in PNC Park and it's something against you, they're all going to boo, and it's fun, right? But it gets things right, I guess, per se, right? It gets things right. But like, how many times do you see Kutch at the plate and he gets rung up, and it's like, whoa, come on, that was nowhere near. You challenge it, and you get the call right, and Kutch is on first base instead of the dugout, right? So like, it'll help things out. It'll make things better, make things correct. It's strategic. It's not going to be done 13 times a game, right? I mean, you have so many opportunities. So I like it, but yeah, it's absolutely going to be something where it's a fingernail, and it's going to be a very crucial moment. And either Pirates fans are going to be very, very happy because it goes in the way, or most likely because they're Pirates fans, it doesn't go in their way, and it's just one more thing to complain about. And there's anything that Pirates fans are good about, it's complaining and being relentless. So, like, but again, like I enjoy it. Most times than not, it's going to be accurate, right? I mean, the human element most times in these situations is probably wrong. So it's going to get more things correct, I believe. But yes, there's going to be some controversial things. And to be honest, that's also what makes sports. I mean, whatever that moment is, we're going to be talking about it. And you can say what happened, but like it's going to be a big moment. But those moments happen all the time in real life. I mean, how many times do umps make a crucial bad call that decides a game? At least this one's a little bit more accurate, and you can see something and you can debate if it's right or not. But at any rate, I think it's good for the game. So I'm all for it. If it comes in 2026, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna necessarily complain about it. You mentioned the in stadium experience, and I think that could maybe get a little bit better. And I understand this was the first time that they've had it at a Pirate Spring training game. This is the first time the PA announcer there has been kind of dealing with it.
Just confused.
It was, I think, like they're just maybe a better job of presenting the situation to the fans, because let's face it, baseball is a sport where you're maybe not locked in to every single pitch that happens. So like when you do get,
Jim?
yeah, when you do get a challenge, maybe announcing to the crowd a little bit better, hey, DJ Stewart is challenging the rule on the field that this is a strike. And then you go to the scoreboard and it's like, all right. And, Cody brought up the situation yesterday where he was like, I wish they just like explained it a little bit better on the scoreboard. And it was like, yeah, like maybe announce to the crowd what's happening, show on the scoreboard. All right, here's the situation. And then you go to the graphic. I feel like that would be good, but no, you're going to see situations where the crowd is sitting on the edge of their seat, wondering what the answer to this is, because it's going to happen in some crucial situations.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I kind of just feel like it was a first spring game. It's just whatever. There wasn't like it was an event at this game. And again, I just feel like the crowd was probably kind of confused, like what's going on. It wasn't, displayed that well. I think like once it's major leagues, I mean, PNC Park does a great job of it. I mean, it's gonna be done well. And again, I've seen it in Jacksonville for the jumbo shrimp, and it was kind of done that way. They did announce it. The scoreboard changed. They replayed everything, and like I said, the crowd got into it. So I imagine that's what happens in the major leagues. I mean, they have A+ production there. But again, like that's what makes it exciting in the stadium. But at any rate, like I definitely see it. I've been a proponent of it now, seeing it. I've been real leery, on how they're going to do the automatic strike zone. And we've been talking about for years now. I've been a big proponent of, I don't want the umpires out. Like I like that human element. I don't want to be all automated and such. And they implemented this system. I was like, this makes sense. A challenge system makes sense. So I really enjoy it. And I think it's going to do well.
Yeah, I think fans will, for the most part, they'll like it. I think, anytime there's something new that changes it, you're gonna have a few people kind of make some grumbling comments. But I think overall it's gonna be good. It's not like NFL replay where it's gonna take 2-3 minutes. Like this is a 10 to 15 second operation that happens here. So it shouldn't really change much. I mean, yesterday's game was over in like 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think zoomed.
It was insane how fast this game, and spring training games are usually a little bit slower than normal because of all the substitutions and things like that. But yesterday's game flew by, and there were probably 4 or 5 challenges throughout the game. So yeah, it's not like those affected it didn't affect the flow of the game really at all.
Right. Yep. So we talk about the young Bucs, talk about some pitching, the ABS system. What else did you want to nail down on this show today?
Ooh, what else do I want to talk about?
We have a full week ahead of us. There's going to be 3 more home games that we'll be doing pregame shows in.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing more relievers. I want to make sure everybody looks good, looks healthy. We haven't seen Johan Oviedo yet. I think that's probably we haven't seen him for a year. So what's Johan Oviedo look like? And especially now with the addition of Andrew Heaney, what is Johan Oviedo's role going to be on this team? Is he going to win a starting spot? Because I think he's still certainly competing for one with Falter. Is he going to win a starting spot? Is he going to be in that Luis Ortiz swingman role where he can pitch a couple innings at a time? He can pitch high leverage if you need him to, or he can do a spot start if you need him to. Is he going to have that role, or are they going to have him start the year in AAA and maybe get a few starts under his belt there before bringing him up? So Johan Oviedo, probably the other pitcher I'm most likely I'm most watching this spring, just see how he looks, because with the addition of Heaney, his role is now up in the air.
Right. Well, let me put this on you, because like you're saying, that's one thing to look forward to. And I'll give my opinion first. Like, what do you think you want to see from Oviedo? Because I really I think that guy can thrive in the Luis Ortiz role. That's one thing we've kind of talked and debated a bit of, especially seeing the year before on the Tommy John, like the depth of the starting pitching right now, like how is he going to be utilized this year? And with the addition of Heaney, I think that puts him more into boxing him into that role, because again, you have the 5 stars, especially like Heaney is going to be a starter, and Bailey Falter I think he's gonna be starter too. Like I don't see Bailey Falter as like, oh well, if he goes to the bullpen, he's gonna take off. Like there's really not like a way to make Bailey Falter better. Put him in the bullpen, just keep him in the rotation. And that gives you two lefties, whatever. But like I can see like Oviedo to me can be a nasty reliever. And if that's one thing that this team also needs by adding Heaney, like if you can really strengthen this bullpen up, it could be by putting Oviedo in there. And we saw how productive and how valuable Luis Ortiz was. I mean, there was a point in time we were talking about Luis Ortiz. Is he the MVP of this team because of the roles he was playing and how valuable he was, early on? I think Oviedo can absolutely thrive in that role. And that can give this team so many flexible options. I would really hate to see him go down in AAA. Like I know that's an option, right? Of course, obviously, but again, like I don't see a vision where he starts off in AAA. I just feel he should make opening day because he's talented, and of course, if the arm's healthy, which all signs point to it, right? But I just think like having him in that type of a role, I think he can just be so good.
Yeah, it's really just like what's your goal with this pitching staff? Like I think Johan Oviedo is a top 6 starter in let's call it top 7 starter in this organization, because I think Bubba Chandler is a top 5 guy, but I think he needs a little bit more time just to build himself up and get some AAA starts under his belt. Let's say Oviedo is a top 7 starter in this organization. I think we can probably mostly agree with that.
Absolutely fair.
I'm gonna probably say top 6, but let's say it's top 7. Do you keep him as a starter for the depth role, and in doing so, you're maybe sending him to Indy, or do you say, you know what? Yes, Johan Oviedo's maybe our number 6 starter, but he's one of our top 8 relievers too. And then you get into the talk of like, okay, do we just bring our best 26 north with us? And if you're bringing your best 26 north with us, Johan Oviedo's one of those top 26, I would say.
Absolutely.
And in the Pirates situation right now, you'd probably want to be like, yeah, let's take our top 26 with us. Like we need to win some games. I agree with you. I think Johan Oviedo can thrive in that role of like couple innings at a time. You need him to maybe like Luis Ortiz last year was like an extra inning specialist too, where he'd come in the 10th and he'd pitch a clean 10th inning, which is incredibly valuable. We saw that last year. And then maybe that spot start where there's no off day, because we've seen this team, they like to give their starters 5 days off. Maybe, Oviedo gets involved on that day. I think he would do really well in that role. At the same time, like I view Johan Oviedo as a starting pitcher.
Oh, I do too.
Because just you saw what he did in 2023, the amount of length that he was able to give you. Like that dude pitched 7 innings every time out. That doesn't happen often. There aren't a lot of pitchers in Major League Baseball that can do that. And he was consistently like giving you 7 innings, whether it was 7 innings 1 run or 7 innings 5 runs. He was going 6 or 7 every time out.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of value in that too. So, do you just look at that and say, "Hey, we need to keep getting this," or do you say, "Okay, we want your stuff in the bullpen so that we can at least use you for now"? Yeah, I don't. I think right now, if Oviedo's not, if it were me, and I'm building this team and I'm trying to win, I'm probably going north with Oviedo as a reliever.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to make sure he's still kind of stretched out. Mm-hmm. So like give him some innings as a reliever.
And again, that's why I think like that Luis Ortiz role is just perfect, because it kind of puts him there. Like Ortiz would come in and pitch 1 inning. He'd come and pitch 3 innings, and that way you could rely on him. You had to make a spot start. And it might not, like Oviedo might not be going 7 right off the bat if he's put in that spot, but like to make him have to pitch 4 innings, I think you feel comfortable doing that. So you're getting like the best maximum value out of him in that sense. And that's why I think it'd be like just fantastic for this club to do that, because how like they get creative in that sense, how they're saving the starting pitchers. And that's why Luis Ortiz was so valuable, because he was allowing them to do that while giving very, very productive innings in many types of different roles than to do so. So yeah, like I'm with you. And again, going back to Oviedo as a starter and such, I mean, that's like the one thing I was really, really impressive. Now, he was prone to like the big inning. Like he would have that real big inning, give up 5 earned. But like you mentioned, he would just hunker down and give you 7, and like the rest of the 4 innings like afterwards were impressive still. So I do definitely view him as a starter. I think there's a lot of upside to him. There's things to like, but when you're in a situation where this team has so much talent in the rotation, like that's something this team can actually afford for once. You know, they can put him in this role and let him do their thrive. You know what? Like next year, maybe the opportunity is to be a full-time, starter in this rotation. 2026 is coming to the mindset of like, I'm making opening day as a starter in this rotation. Don't talk to me anymore, because now he's winning it. Like he's gone. Falter, maybe he's removed at some point or whatever. But for this year, especially coming off the injury, gives so much flexibility. That's why I like the Heaney signing, because Heaney allows this to happen. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Well, let's pivot from that to the catcher side a little bit. So obviously, hands down, Joey Bart's going to start. We know that he's going to be opening day starter. He's number 1 on the depth chart. Jason DeLay did play yesterday. Jim, my catcher, got a hit, RBI. We're not going to call him a young buck, but he was part of that too.
Yeah, not a young buck.
No. But speaking of young bucks, there are 2 catchers on this team that haven't really proven themselves yet, and Henry Davis and Endy Rodríguez. So, I mean, how do you kind of envision? We talked and touched a little bit on yesterday. How do you see opening day catching depth stack up?
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday too, but I think where I'm at right now, Jason DeLay's my backup catcher. Joey Bart's my starter. Jason DeLay's my backup catcher. And the reason for that is just I can't trust Henry Davis or Endy Rodríguez right now. And I want to get them as many at bats as possible. I also want to get them some playing time behind the plate. Like right now, I'm rolling with Bart until he shows me otherwise.
Okay.
And I'm rolling with DeLay because I think with DeLay, you know what you're getting. You know he can handle the staff. Like Jason DeLay is a pretty prototypical backup catcher in Major League Baseball.
Right.
He's not gonna be that great of a hitter, but he can handle the staff just fine. He can play defense. He's not the worst hitter in the world. Like he's better than Austin Hedges. Like he's not like that.
Right.
Like and honestly he was better than Henry Davis last year. Like that, I think where I'm at right now is just like I need Henry Davis and Endy Rodríguez to show me that they can, like, they're going to have to play their way into playing time. I can't really hand any of those guys anything. Yeah, they're competing for something this spring, but like they need to really show out if either one of them want to start on the opening day roster.
So I'm going to throw this at you because, again, like right now, that's the very rational thought process, right? And that's why I do like Jason DeLay. And I always joke, it's my catcher because like I view him as like he's like Chris Stewart like to me. This guy is a backup catcher on plenty of teams. For the Pirates, he might not be now opening day. He could be the first hour for sure. But Henry Davis has a huge spring. Henry Davis looks really, really good. What are you saying on March 23rd? Is Jason DeLay still going to be the opening day backup, or are you saying, you know what, let's get Henry up here?
What was the situation again?
Jim was on his phone, not paying attention.
Yeah, sorry.
That's why the ABS is no.
Yeah. What was the situation again?
So I said, like, okay, like that's a very rational thought process, right? Today makes a whole lot of sense, but it's now March 23rd, and Henry Davis has had a monster spring. What's Jim say then? What do you do in that situation? Do you still say, like, listen, this was the course, this was the process, Jason DeLay, you're still going to be there, we're going to still bring up Henry slowly, or are you like, hey, kid, you're earning it, we need the offense?
If Henry Davis is putting up a monster spring, then I'm rethinking it. Yeah, I'm rethinking. Like Henry Davis and Endy Rodríguez both can change my mind this spring with a really good spring. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I like it, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm really hoping for one of them too, because again, like I think Jason DeLay is very capable. I feel like someone's going to take it, and he's probably going to be in AAA as like your catching depth. Because again, he's very capable, but like this team's starting for offense, and Henry and Endy can provide that if they hit what they should be doing. And I'll just say this: kind of getting vibes from people that they like Henry Davis right now. So I mean, it's early. It's early. I'm not putting it out there, but that's positive right now.
Yeah, I mean, so far all signs point to Henry Davis is continuing to do everything that they ask him to do. He keeps getting better defensively. Right now, he needs to figure out how to hit major league pitching though too. I mean, you drafted him for the bat. He's got to be able to provide some value there. And both him and Endy played in game 1 on Saturday, and both of them hit a double. So both of them kind of on the board early here.
But Henry Davis did throw a guy out. Now, it might have had a bounce to do so, but he did throw a guy out.
But I
want to say this too. So in this situation we're talking of, right, do you see, regardless of Endy, like how he performs, he's probably held back in AAA?
I would say Endy's more likely to be the guy to start in AAA just because of the injury and coming off that. Like, I mean, he hasn't really done anything in a year. You got a little bit of time towards the end of last season, but like it wasn't a whole lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, yeah, like Endy would have to do a whole lot more to start on the opening day roster. But they're both like that is a battle. Like that second catcher spot is 100%. It is up for grabs. I think Delay probably has the inside track right now, but either one of those two guys, Davis or Endy, could take that from him, I think.
Cool. Yep. That's pretty much how I feel about that. All right. Well, anything else you want to say? I think that kind of wraps up pretty much everything.
No, you know what though? This food delivery service in Florida is garbage.
That's why you're looking
garbage.
It is
$7.52. I ordered this coffee for delivery at like 6:45. We still don't have our coffee.
I just want a tea.
This is insane. Like my coffee was hot too. Like hopefully that coffee is not like room temperature by the time it gets here.
Yeah.
We had a question from chat. You want to answer it?
No.
Yeah. We have a question from the live chat.
Tony Masters asks, how long do you think they will keep the young guys like Konnor Griffin, Bubba Chandler, and Termarr Johnson in camp before sending them back down or over to Pirate City?
All right. So the question was, how long do we keep the young Bucs in camp before heading to minor league camp? I think it depends on the guy. Like I think Konnor Griffin's likely to be the first one to get cut.
Yeah.
Just because he's the farthest away, right? Termarr probably the next guy to get cut because he's the next farthest away, and then Bubba the third guy to get cut. Konnor Griffin will probably get cut in the next week.
Yeah.
You know,
it's one thing the Pirates do is they always bring their top draft pick in. So he's really there just because of how they do it. He's going to be out there soon.
Yeah, Griffin, I would imagine within a week gets sent to minor league camp. Termarr probably not too far behind him.
I feel like Tamar actually lasted pretty longer than I anticipated last year.
Like I would say Termarr though,
probably about the same time like this last year.
Yeah, like a couple weeks maybe for Termarr. Bubba, I could see getting close to the end of camp just because like they need. I mean, you need a lot of pitchers in spring training until your starters are going 4 to 5 innings. You need guys to just pitch innings. So I would imagine Bubba to be in big league camp the longest out of those 3.
Yep.
But he'll probably get cut before that last week of spring.
Right. Yeah. But he'll definitely be there because he's going to be part of this team sooner than later. But yeah, probably not opening day, guys. Yeah, good question though. Cool. Well, I guess we done and want to wait on our coffee some more.
Let's get done. And yeah, this coffee is ridiculous.
We just want to go and get her.
Insane.
All right, guys. Well, we will be back tomorrow. Another NS9 pregame at noon, taking on the Atlanta Braves. So we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucs.